Hello, fellow Movie Crusaders, and welcome to another episode of Sean's Movie Crusades. My name is Sean Wasser Crew, and today we're going to be reviewing the latest Netflix film, Spike Lee's The Five Bloods. Now, for me, I honestly, outside of the last 3 days, never heard of this film. I did not know this was being made. I hadn't really heard anything about it, but in the last 3 days, there has been a lot of chatter about this movie in terms of one of Spike Lee's best films, to award buzz for the performances in the film, to a movie that needed to come out with the current status of the way the world is right now. I checked out the trailer, and it looks very interesting. It was definitely something that piqued my interest enough to check it out, so that is why I'm going to review it here today. Now, the plot of The Five Bloods is you have four Vietnam vets who basically are coming back to Vietnam 50 plus years after the events of the Vietnam War. The reason why they're going back is because they are trying to recover the body or the remains of one of their fallen comrades that they lost during the Vietnam War, and because of something else as well, which if you've seen the trailer, you know what it is. But for people who haven't seen the trailer, I'll leave that up to you guys to see that, because it is a major plot point of the film. The main cast concludes Chadwick Boseman, anyone knows from Black Panther. He plays Stormin' Norman. He is the fallen comrade that they are going to go back to Vietnam to recover the remains of. You see him in flashback scenes. Delroy Lindo plays Paul. You got Clark Peters, who plays Otis, Norm Lewis, who plays Eddie, and Isaiah Whitlock Jr., who plays Melvin. And then you also got Jonathan Majors, who plays Paul's son, David. Now, the way this movie generally starts out is you've got these four friends who had not seen each other in quite a long time coming together in Vietnam. And it looks like they're all kind of, just kind of like a guy's trip, kind of thing. But obviously you find out that they have an agenda, that they're going there to try to find the remains of their fallen comrade, who literally helped them grow as men, learn to survive the Vietnam world, as well as life themselves, pretty much to the point where they almost treat Norman, played by Chadwick Boseman, like a religion with the way that he taught them throughout the war. The cast for this film is fantastic. Everyone in this movie is incredibly well casted, but then again, this is Spike Lee. He knows what he's doing when it comes to casting. The standout in this film. Now, I've seen this gentleman in a lot of movies. He's always kind of a secondary character, doesn't really have the spotlight put on him, but whenever he's in a movie, he's always well-liked. He doesn't blow me away with his performances, but he's well-liked in everything I've seen him, and I've never hated any of his performances. And that goes to Delroy Lindo, who plays Paul. This is, hands down, the performance of the year. Obviously, there hasn't been that many standout stellar performances so far here in 2020, obviously because a lot of movies haven't come out. Literally for the men, it's been Ben Affleck from the way back, and for the women, it's been Elizabeth Moss for The Invisible Man. Delroy Lindo is now the official frontrunner for me for best performance of the year. His portrayal of Paul is so raw and passionate and powerful, to the point where I've wondered, where has this performance been for Delroy for his entire movie career? This performance is up there with some of the greats. I feel like if he would have put on these kind of performances, or given the chance to be a star, such as like Denzel or Tom Hanks or stuff like that, and he was able to give this kind of a performance, he would easily be one of the top stars in Hollywood today. But he hasn't really ever got his chance, and this is basically his coming out party, even though he's in his 60s now, or could be 70s, but he's been around for a long time. But this is his movie. Yes, it is a lead cast of basically 4 or 5 people, but his performance is a must watch. If there's anything about this movie that you guys just don't care to see, go out of your way to see his performance in this movie. It is definitely one of the best performances I've seen in the last few years. Jonathan Majors, who plays his son David, he kind of starts off kind of basic, but his character grows into a stronger and stronger performance as the film goes on. I was also a huge fan of Clark Peters as Otis. I really loved his performance throughout this film as well. Other people, you got Melanie Thierry, she plays Hetty. Paul Walter Hauser from Richard Jewell, he plays Simon. He's got kind of a small role in, nothing really crazy. You got Johnny Nguyen, he plays Vinh Tran, who's basically their Vietnamese. I'm trying to think of the right word. He's like he's taking them on their journey. He's kind of like their Vietnamese like traveler agent, not an agent, but you know what I'm talking about. He's the one helping them through Vietnam. And then you got Jean Reno, who plays Desroches, who is the guy who's a French guy who's helping them with what they're trying to do in the film. And then, of course, like I said, Chadwick Boseman. I think Chadwick Boseman in his small parts that he's got, 'cause he doesn't have a big role in this, but in terms of supporting for the roles to help progress the film and the characters through this movie, I think he does a fantastic job. There's a lot of great performances in this movie, a potential of a lot of supporting actors considerations out of this film. But Delroy Lindo definitely is the highlight of this film. The story is incredibly powerful, incredibly strong. The journey through these men, as you see that these four gentlemen who survived, the Vietnam War, who survived the racism there before Vietnam and coming home for Vietnam, you could see that it has taken a toll on them, especially Paul. And just like what a lot of soldiers have said, just because the war has ended doesn't mean you left the war. And his character obviously has serious ghosts in his closet, some serious PTSD, and Delroy Lindo plays it masterfully. It has there's been a structure or a painful relationship between him and his son. You see that very powerfully throughout this film, and also the friendship between these men is incredibly strong as well. Spike Lee does a fantastic job shooting this film. The cinematographer for this movie is got to find his name here real quick. He also did Extraction this year, which, as you know, had one of my favorite scenes of the year. Newton Thomas Siegel. Him and Spike Lee put on a fantastic cinematography performance here in the film, to where they shot the movie in 3 different aspect ratios. The beginning of the film, because it's very exotic and cool, kind of showing modern day Vietnam, is shot with widescreen bars. When they go flashbacks to Vietnam, they show it kind of in the old gritty like aspect ratio of like pre-digital. It makes it look more realistic, like it's videotape footage from Vietnam. And then when it's present day in Vietnam in the jungle, it's got the full-on HD full screen for everyone at home. It definitely, for certain people that might bother them, I actually really liked that. I thought it was a beautiful artistic touch that Spike Lee and Newton did in this film, and I really, really appreciated it. I also love the music. I love the balance between old school movie films, like you hear the Flight of the Valkyries from Apocalypse Now. You got some great music that was playing during the Vietnam War in the 60s. I love the music throughout it. The scenes look gorgeous. The powerful performances throughout. Yes, it is a Spike Lee film, so race issues are definitely very, very strong in this film, as they all are with Spike Lee. Yes, there are certain things Spike Lee does in the movie that I'm not necessarily a fan of, but just like with Guy Ritchie and his fast-forwarded movements in his films, Spike Lee does this in all of his movies. It's just one of those things where you just got to kind of take it as it is. But it wasn't as annoying in this one as it would be like in how it was in like Black Klansman or his other films. When he does his race issues or goes back and shows racial stuff, it is more appropriate for the times and the dealings of what was going on in the Vietnam War, and it makes total sense, and it flows with the film this time, whereas with Black Klansman, it kind of felt out of place and forced. It does not feel forced this time around. In terms of a recommendation, I can do no more than say you must see Da 5 Bloods. It is hands down the best film of the year right now, which obviously, like, I get that. There's only been a few films. We're not even into 20 plus movies of actual movies to warrant whether they are best films of the year, but Da 5 Bloods is hands down the best film of the year that I have seen so far. I highly recommend it. Like I said, it's on Netflix, so everyone pretty much has Netflix. go ahead, check this movie out. It does have a 2.5-hour runtime. I do say it starts to drag a little bit at the 2-hour mark, but then it picks right back up for the final act. But it's a very, very powerful film, an incredibly well done film by Spike Lee. And because it was on Netflix, it came out of nowhere for me. I did not know this movie was coming. It wasn't like BlacKkKlansman where we knew it was coming for months on end. This movie just snuck up on me, and I could not be happier that I was able to watch this film tonight and review it for all of you. So going to a score, I'm going to give To Five Bloods a 9.3 out of 10, which definitely takes the top spot on the year so far. And I hope you guys check this movie out. Let me know what you think. Leave your comments below. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you guys did, go ahead and hit that like button. If you guys feel like this review is worth sharing, go ahead and hit that share button. But most importantly, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to the channel so you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos that pop up on Sean's Movie Crusades. And of course, don't forget to follow us on all the social media outlets you see below. Coming up next, we got The King of Staten Island, and we probably got Becky, which came out a little while ago, but I'm finally going to get around to seeing it. Those are probably going to be the next two films you will see pop up on the channel, so be on the lookout for that. And until next time, in case I don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Movie Crusaders.